Welcome to the Crochet Hangout. I'm Kendra, and today we'll be making the Happy Hug Rainbow Scarf. A double layer of sparkly clouds is what you'll find at the end of this cozy rainbow. The squishy texture of this scarf wraps the wearer in a happy rainbow hug. You can make one for yourself or to give as gifts because this scarf is sure to brighten anyone's day. Today we're going to be using a rainbow assortment of Red Heart Super Saver. Color A is Amethyst. Color B is blue, color C is spring green, color D is bright yellow, color E is pumpkin, color F is cherry red, and finally our white clouds will be made out of color G, which is actually Red Heart Soft Metallic in the color white. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's got just a little bit of sparkle in it, like every good cloud should. Additionally, you will need a hook in the size K, 6.5 millimeters. Gauge is not super critical to this pattern, so just use whatever hook makes for a texture of stitching that you enjoy. You just want to make sure that your stitches are light and airy. You will also need a tapestry needle for weaving in your ends when you're completed. To get your own copy of the printable PDF pattern, head over to www.crochethangout.com where you'll find patterns, tutorials, and more. Today's tutorial is going to include an abbreviated version of the Happy Hug Rainbow Scarf pattern. Basically, I'm just going to make it incredibly short and show you how to do the clouds on one end. This is because it will be easier for you to see on camera, as well as saving you a bit of time in learning the process. You can see in the printable pattern that we're going to begin with color A, or Amethyst, and the pattern says to chain 183. Begin with a slip knot, which means I'm going to wrap around my two fingers, slide my hook in between, draw up a loop, and tighten. Now you can see I'm attached to my hook. It is worth noting that we're beginning with our purple because I find that this beginning edge is better hidden by the darkness of the color purple rather than starting on the red end. So you're going to begin with your chains. And then you're going to double crochet in the third chain from your hook. The chain 3 at the beginning of your rows does not count as a stitch in this pattern. What it's going to provide is just a little bit of extra looping and fabric to kind of fill in this space along the edge when you put your clouds in. That's the reason why we are not going to count that as a stitch. So we are going to double crochet in the third chain from our stitch, counting 1, 2, 3 chains. You're going to slide your hook in, making sure that you get both the front and back loop on the top of your hook. You're going to yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over through the remaining 2. There's your first double crochet. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, making sure again that you have both loops of your chain on top of your hook. Draw up a loop, yarn over through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over through the next 2. That's your next double crochet made. You're going to continue in this manner across the entirety of your chain, ending in the last chain space of the double crochet. Just make sure that you know how many stitches you're working with because you're going to want to keep this number consistent across the entire scarf. I'm going to finish off this row and I will meet you to show you what we're going to do in row 2. Row 2 is going to begin with a chain 3. Once again, this does not count as a double crochet. You're going to turn your work and we're going to double crochet in this first stitch here. We're going to continue in each stitch across our row. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you go all the way to your last stitch, and it is very helpful, especially in your beginning rows, to count your stitches to make sure that you are making a scarf that has nice square ends. They will be covered up some by the clouds, but you don't want your clouds to be too wonky if your stitches don't meet up. So it's just a good idea to go ahead and check your work, especially in the beginning, to give yourself a good strong foundation to build off of. So now I've reached the end of my second row. Like I said, this would be a good point to count your stitches. Row 3 is going to begin in the same manner. We're going to just chain 3 and turn our work. We're going to double crochet in that same stitch and in each stitch across. In the last stitch of row 3, we're going to change colors to color B, which is our blue. I'll meet you in that stitch to show you the procedure. To complete our final stitch, we're just going to yarn over and insert it in the stitch below, drawing up a loop. We're going to yarn over, go through the first 2 loops on our hook. There'll be 2 loops remaining. At this point, we're going to get our next color, color B, which is our blue, lay it over our hook to yarn over and just pull that through the final 2 loops on our hook. We're then going to go ahead and set this down. I'm just going to trim color A like so. And I'm going to take the tails of color A and color B and drop them behind my working yarn. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to pull on these ends till I get my edge nice and even. So as you can see, we now have color B attached. I'm going to begin by repeating the process we used on row 2, which is chaining 3, turning our work, then we're going to double crochet in each stitch across our row. So if you want, you can just go ahead and crochet over your tails to work them in, or you can go ahead and weave them in at the end. I did find in this particular pattern that working over both colors simultaneously muddied your rainbowed lines and was too noticeable. So what I like to do is work over the yarn from the previous color with your new color. Then you're going to go back at the end and weave in one color in each striping sequence. So what I mean is that in this case, you're going to just drop your blue here in the back. We'll weave that in later. You're going to hold your purple tail on top of the row below, and you're just going to work your double crochets right over the top of the purple. This is going to secure this end as it's crocheted into your work. If as you're stitching along, you notice that it's kind of buckling or sticking out, you can just go ahead and give a light tug on the end. It'll help it to just nestle right in where it needs to be, and it'll stay nice and secure. So we are going to work row 4 all the way across. See how I just gave that a little pull to make everything lay nice. You're going to work along the tail of your purple. You can go ahead and just stick it out the end when you feel that you've gone far enough. You're going to work your blue double crochets to the end of your row. Then you're going to do the exact same thing for row 5. You're going to chain 3, turn your work, and work back across. Row 6, you're going to chain 3, turn your work, double crocheting across, but in your final stitch, you're going to change to color C, or your green. You're going to repeat the same procedure working across your scarf, which is 3 rows of double crochet in each color: amethyst, blue, spring green, bright yellow, pumpkin, and cherry red. The third row is always going to end in a stitch where you change to the next color. When you've completed row 18, which is going to be your final row of the cherry red, you're going to fasten off. You're going to fasten off by yarning over and simply drawing through the loop on your hook. And then you can go ahead and just clip your yarn and pull it out. At that point, you're going to want to go through and weave in all the ends from all of your stripes. I'll meet you at this point to show you how we're going to attach our clouds to the edge. Here you can see is our completed rainbow progression. You can just imagine this a much longer strip of the colors in this manner, which is what your finished scarf will look like. We're going to begin our cloud edging by fastening on color G, which is our red heart with love metallic in the color white. As a general rule, I like to try and feed my yarn from the center, but every time I have used Red Heart with Love, especially the metallic, I cannot get them to pull from the center. So just as a tip for you, you might just want to go with an exterior pull on this particular type of yarn. So we're going to begin by starting in the edge of our amethyst, which was our row 1 color. We're just going to slide our hook in and draw up a loop of our white. You're then just going to stick that tail to the back, yarn over, and pull through. Just tighten that tail. That slip stitches to join your yarn. We're going to yarn over and chain 1. We're going to work 37 single crochets evenly along the edge. Piece has 18 rows, and each of them is a double crochet, meaning that it's very easy to put 2 single crochets in the edge of each stitch along the way. That'll get you 36 stitches. So what I like to do is put 2 stitches in the edge of each row and an additional stitch in your final row to get your 37th stitch. It'll just make everything even out, and the cloud progression will make it so everything looks even though it's slightly off. So now I've reached the end of my row. I recommend that you count to double check that you have 37 stitches. It'll save you a lot of grief in the end. Now we're going to move along to row 20, which is going to be worked in the back loop only. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. You're going to slip stitch into that very same stitch that you chained 1. And now we're going to skip 2 stitches. 1, 2, and we are going to work 7 double crochets in the back loop only of the next stitch. Now that you've worked your 7 double crochets, you're going to skip 2 stitches. 1, 2. We're going to slip stitch in the back loop of the next stitch. It's going to repeat in this manner to the end of the row. Skipping 2 stitches, 7 double crochets, skipping 2 stitches, and a slip stitch. So you're going to repeat the pattern to the end of the row. I'll meet you there to talk about row 21. Now row 21 is going to begin with a chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. Now we are going to work in the unworked loops of row 19. So you're just going to single crochet in each of those unworked loops across, beginning with your first stitch. And you'll be able to see where those loops are, and even in the stitches that you skipped, you're just going to want to work into those back loops only. So finish working your 37 stitches across. I'll meet you at the end and we'll discuss row 22. Row 22 is going to be worked in the front loop only. So we're going to begin by chaining 1 and turning our work. Then we're just going to work in the front loop, the one closest to us. We're going to slip stitch into that first stitch. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches and work our 7 double crochets into the next. So there you can see our 7 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, forming our next cloud. You're going to skip 2 stitches and just slip stitch into the next. You're going to continue this progression all the way to the end, where you are going to end with your slip stitch and fasten off. You're going to fasten off by yarning over, pulling through your loop, and clipping your yarn. At this point, you can go ahead and weave in any of the ends that you have. Once you're complete, this is what your row of clouds will look like from the front side, and this is what they will look like from the back side. You're going to want to go ahead and flip your scarf and do your second row of cloud edging on the other side, and then you have your finished scarf. For your own printable copy of the Happy Hug Rainbow Scarf pattern, please head over to www.crochethangout.com, where you'll find patterns, tutorials, and more. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time. Bye!